More than 25 Barrie residents spoke in front of the City Council on Wednesday, arguing for and against two multimillion-dollar projects. One is a sport field and the other is an extension to the Southshore Centre. The new multipurpose 1,500 square meter sports field will include a parade ground. It will feature premium synthetic turf costing over $4 million. It is expected to take around a year and a half to build. The second project will add a 600 square meter addition to the Southshore Centre. This new home of the Sea Cadet has more than a $4.5 million price tag on it. Residents who spoke for the project highlighted the benefits of a multipurpose field for community unity, youth development, and economic growth. They pointed to the economic benefits and increased tourism from hosting sports events on the waterfront. Critics, however, raised concerns about the lack of public consultation and environmental impacts, including habitat destruction and pollution. They also opposed the field's location, suggesting alternate sites to preserve natural spaces and historical land safety. Following is the video of the deputations.
The first deputant I would like to call up is Tom Yules. Tom, you can correct me on how I pronounce your last name, sir, if I just said it incorrectly.
Hello, Mayor Nuttall, City Councilors, staff, and community. Today I'll be speaking as a resident and the need for shared space. Let's call it multi-use space on the waterfront. There seems to be quite a clear divide on yet another facet of life that seems to break us into opposing groups rather than unified groups to build community. I am in favor of the proposed multi-purpose field on the waterfront. For some reason, organized sport seems to be exempt from the waterfront. The waterfront is inclusive of arts, festivals, music, passive and active individual recreational pursuits such as biking, swimming, hiking, picnicking, playgrounds, boating, fishing, but not organized sport, except a couple of exceptions being the triathlon, some beach volleyball courts, and basketball courts. Organized sports are typically played in areas that are associated with like type of facilities, such as school fields, community centers, or like sport facilities. That people go to these facilities are typically involved in the activity, either parents or participants. The waterfront is such an area that should be inclusive of all types of activities, sport inclusive. A neutral area that exposes all residents and visitors to all that makes up community, arts, festivals, music, service, and community club initiatives. Sometimes we need these neutral areas to showcase how great this city is. Sport certainly has a historically strong and rich heritage in this community and should be displayed in a community place where all residents can be exposed to it. Sport is one of the largest entertainment networks in the world, played at the local, regional, provincial, and international levels. Why shouldn't the lakefront be part of what makes Barrie's waterfront the gem that it is? We need magnets, such as the festivals, arts, music, and sports to drive people to the waterfront to be a true destination location. This has economic value to the city. Art, culture, heritage, recreation, and sports should not be competing against each other, but should work together to build community. The fact that this is a shared facility with the Sea Cadets, representing a synergy with other boating-related community organizations, but the new parade ground serves a dual purpose of providing additional playing surface for sports, predominantly youth sports. The extra field will allow expansion into the marginally seasonal playing times, and even perhaps include winter operations, winter activities as well. This will assist the field shortage inventory that will occur when the high-density developments at Essa Road and the ones in the downtown core come online. The proposed location is far away from the active area of the waterfront and may even entice residents, walkers, hikers to walk the full length of the waterfront to see what is happening down the south end. Walk through the military park. This area is typically the passive area of the waterfront. They may engage or see what our youth are actually doing and engaged in and contributing to community. The engagement of non-sporting people with sporting people could only help build community. The reciprocal is also true, that youth or sports will also be engaged in the general community, not just their own sporting community, as is typical when you go to a game at a park, school, or community center. One final point I'd like to mention is a multi-purpose field could be an emergency staging area for an emergency incident on the waterfront as well. Thank you for the opportunity to give these points of view.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for respecting the rules so far, folks. I appreciate that. I'm going to call our second individual up, Kaylin DeMello. Welcome to council, Kaylin.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Nuttall and honorable members of the City Council. My name is Kaylin DeMello and I'm 11 years old. I sat here last week with my team and learned about the proposal. More importantly, I was inspired by the council to come back and share my voice as a citizen of our city. The facts I learned is this: we want a safer location for the Sea Cadets to launch their boats and give them a space to practice their marches. It was made clear that the proposal is for one field. Again, there is no intention of building a sports complex or a sports dome. It was also noted that there will be very careful consideration of the environment, which I appreciate. As I also understand it, there are some who disagree, so I'm here to share with everybody the power of sports in the lives of young people like me. When I was younger, just a couple of years ago, I struggled a lot in school to make friends. I was body shamed, I was made fun of, I was being bullied. I was in a dark place. It was a very difficult time for me, as I found it hard to make real friends and connections. I felt alone and invisible, like no one understood me, but everything changed when I discovered soccer. Soccer became more than just a game to me. It became a lifeline. It helped me build up my confidence, gave me a sense of belonging, and created lasting memories with real friends. Through soccer, I found a community that supported me, believed in me, and encouraged me to be the best version of myself. I stand before you today to ask for your support in approving a new multi-purpose field in our city. This decision can change the lives of youth in our community. In other words, it's doing right by us, kids. I know that making the right decision can sometimes be hard, but I urge you to be brave and stand up to bullies who are against development by standing up for the youth of today and tomorrow. Sports has the power to bring us together, to teach us teamwork, resilience, and determination. It is more than just a sport. It is a tool for empowerment and growth. By providing a new multi-purpose field, you are creating more opportunities for youth to engage in sports. You are providing them with a platform to thrive, to build relationships, and to create a better future for themselves and our community. I ask you to consider the impact that a new multi-purpose field can have on the lives of young people like me. Together, we can make a difference, one goal at a time. As our club motto goes, we are one. Thank you for your time and for listening to my story.
Thank you, Kaylin. Folks, I'm going to ask, please be respectful of the rules of the chamber, because I don't remember the last time somebody was kicked out of this chamber, and I wouldn't want that to start tonight. Kaylin, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for having the strength to, and for your remarks this evening. Olivia Brophy.
Hello, Mayor and member of the Council. My name is Olivia Brophy, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Barrie Soccer Club U12 girls team. I've been playing soccer since I was 3 years old. This sport has helped me through the good and hard times of my life. I used to be bullied, and it was really hard. But I had soccer, something that would make me proud of myself and who I was. And if it weren't for this sport, I'd be a totally different person than who I am standing up here today in front of you. This field will not only benefit benefit myself and my team, but it will help others stay active and make memories right here on this waterfront. Our waterfront is probably the biggest tourist attraction that we have in Barrie, and we are so lucky to have it here. With this field, it will bring in so much more people and allow the families that live in apartment buildings to have a place to play. Remember that not everyone is capable of playing on the sports teams they wish to, but with this field, they will have a place to play. This is a multi-purpose field. So that means not just physical teams will play here, but the people from our community can discover new sports and give them a try at any time. Can you imagine how beautiful our waterfront would be with this multi-purpose field? Teams like rugby, lacrosse, soccer, and many more will have an open and safe field to play on. How important is it to you that the people of our community have a safe place to play? I came up here today not just to speak to you about this field, but to tell you how much this means to me, my team, and probably other teams too. I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today, and as my team's way of saying it, we are one. I hope this little speech may make an impact on your decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us this evening, and thank you to everybody for cooperating. That was very, very good words. Thank you. David Brophy.
First off, that was my daughter. I'm super, super impressed. Great job. So I'm nervous doing this. 12-year-old, 11-year-old, that's super impressive, right? So that's what the club does for our youth, which is amazing. So first off, thank you, Mayor, councillors, friends, foes, everybody here today for taking the time to listen to us. My name's David Brophy. I'm a resident of this community for about 10 plus years now. Active soccer player for 40 plus years because I'm old now, and soccer's a passion of mine. So first off, I want to say I am supportive of the multipurpose youth sports field and parade ground east of Military Heritage Park, and fundamentally I kind of have 4 reasons why. So first off, my belief that sport at any level really sets up the foundation for a healthy lifestyle. Soccer for me personally has molded me as a leader. It's provided me with the desire to give back to my community via coaching, via giving back monetary, food banks, etc. It also creates communities, in my humble opinion. We also need to facilitate further outdoor spaces for our youth in this community. And I think it also encourages and helps them set up healthy routines that gives them a leg up into adulthood. It also encourages them to separate their lives more and more from the online presence that is more and more of a problem every day with our youth. I think sport allows them to disconnect and actually be kids again to a certain degree. I also think it's going to help create a safer space and continues to invest in our waterfront. This facility would create community interconnectedness, which creates passion and love of our community that they're part of, which automatically is a self-fulfilling prophecy with people giving back to that community. I believe it's going to also result in a more meaningful impact because more local residents will use the space more regularly than how it's being used today. This more regular use could change the dynamic down on the waterfront and aid it to become a little bit more family friendly. I know personally we have been reluctant when I've had young daughters to bring them down to the waterfront because of some of the dynamics down there at this point. I also think one of the last reasons here is there's limited quality options in this community right now at this time. We are growing from a city, obviously, growing from a club point of view, and our youth program and competitive programs are regularly traveling quite distances to actually train for their programs. So that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you for your time and your consideration. I'm super excited about this possibility of this being done in August of 2025. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Brophy, for your words this evening. I'm now going to call on Paul Milne to come up to the podium. Welcome, Mr. Milne.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Nuttall and Barrie Council. Thank you for the time to speak in this regard. My name is Paul Milne. I've been a dedicated teacher for nearly 25 years here in Barrie at St. Joan of Arc High School. I'm also actively involved in coaching high school football and soccer, both within our school systems. I've also been an active coach at Barrie Soccer for the past 12 years, and additionally, I serve as a board of director as a member on Barrie Soccer. Throughout my years of experience, I've witnessed the challenges our students and players face when coming to playing sports on inadequate playing surfaces. I vividly remember my own days as a student in Barrie. I grew up in Barrie, where we had to play football and rugby on poor quality fields. These subpar conditions not only hindered our performance, but also pose safety risks to our players. As a coach, I've had the opportunity to take our teams to other venues in Orillia and the Greater Toronto Area for championship games. Although it is nice to celebrate championships for either a Barrie High School or a Barrie rep team, it is disheartening to see our teams have to travel to different cities even though we are the host for that game. I also compare these experiences with my coaching experiences way back when in Teachers College in Thunder Bay, where championship games, even weekly football games, was played at a community field. What an environment it was. It was a great meeting place for both teams, families, and fans, and it was played in the heart of the city. Similarly, complexes or fields such as this exist in Northern Ontario cities as well as Southern Ontario cities. Imagine the community celebration that could be enjoyed with our own city. Why not Barrie? We need to showcase not only the championship level teams in Barrie, but also this city itself. These teams and dedicated players who participate in these sports grow up to be citizens in the Barrie area and will continue their lives in Barrie with a family of their own. I have 2 daughters of my own. Both play high school sports and play rep soccer and basketball, and I've coached both of them. And as you can see, some of my players are here who are also very, very talented and are here to support this initiative. These players need proper facilities to continue to improve and hopefully wear the Barrie soccer crest later in life, perhaps coming back to coach when they're older. I kindly request you support in advocating for this cause within the city of Barrie. Together we can make a significant impact on the overall sports experience for our youth demographic. In addition to the safety and performance benefits, improved playing surfaces can also have a positive impact on our students' mental well-being. Studies have shown that playing sports on high-quality fields can enhance concentration, reduce stress, improve overall academic performances. By providing students and players with top-notch facilities, we are not only investing in their athletic development, but also in their overall growth and success. These players and students that you see behind us in the seats today, that is the future of Barrie. And I hope everybody realizes that as well. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation this evening. And I assume that was at Lakehead. You were at University Teachers College? Was it Lakehead? You were at University Teachers College?
No, Lakehead up in Thunder Bay, yes.
Wonderful. Barrie loves Lakehead. The next I'm going to call is Kathy Colbatch to come and make a presentation. Yeah, you are. I'm jumping around a little bit. Okay, would you like me to move to someone else? William Scott? Welcome to council, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Your Worship, to you and to councillors and to members of the public. My name is Bill Scott. I'm a resident of Allendale and a long-term former member of the executive of the Allendale Neighborhood Association. I'm grateful for the opportunity to present this deposition. It responds to 3 staff reports, one from Development Services to the Infrastructure and Community Investment Committee, dated 20th of September 23, and 2 to General Committee last week, one on the proposed multi-use sports field and parade ground, and one on the proposed relocation of the Sea Cadets. First, I would like to say that I endorse heartily the plan to move the Sea Cadets to the lower level of the Southshore Centre, provided that this does not too negatively impact on the rowing club and on the canoe and kayak club. Second, I have no problem with the proposal for a multi-use sports field. I am not in a position to judge what need there is for such a facility, nor whether this proposal fills that need. However, I feel very strongly that the proposed location of the multi-use field is neither appropriate nor acceptable. There has been a lack of public consultation about this proposed multi-use field. The 20th of September report says that there had been no time for public consultation, although stakeholding groups were consulted. That report recommended that public consultation should be part of the next phase. It is now 7 months since that recommendation. There has been no public consultation, although further consultations have taken place with stakeholders directly involved with the moving of the Sea Cadets to the Southshore Centre. Thus, Council is being asked to approve the development of a multi-use field in an inappropriate location without a public consultation, in direct contradiction to the public opinion expressed in the recently approved waterfront strategic plan. This plan involves significant public consultation. Recommendations contained in the plan include that urban forest remnants remain in Allendale Station Park, Gables Park, and Tynedale Park. And under restorative actions, first, retaining and protecting environmental features, including the remnant deciduous forest communities associated with the former Lake Algonquin shoreline. Second, protecting and enhancing wildlife habitat and enhancing biodiversity in naturalized areas along the shoreline. And third, designing heavily frequented areas along the waterfront to minimize negative impacts to the ecology. The proposed placement of the multi-use field flies in the face of these publicly approved recommended actions and does so without further consultation. Breaking up the remnant forest would negatively impact wildlife habitat and biodiversity. Planting saplings to replace the mature trees removed might maintain the same number of trees, but will greatly reduce the carbon capture capacity of the net forest remnant. This would be a significant negative ecological impact. Unquestionably, the multi-use field would introduce a heavily frequented area, but it would have a major negative effect on the ecology of the area. One further action considered necessary in the proposal for the multi-use field is to move the Vimy oaks because they're in the way. To me, this is sacrilegious. Those trees are a war memorial. They should not be shifted just to provide a playing field which itself would be in an inappropriate place. I urge Council to approve the recommended relocation of the Sea Cadets to the Southshore Centre. I urge Council to direct staff to find a more appropriate location for the proposed multi-use playing field, a location that does not fly in the face of public opinion so clearly expressed in the waterfront strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott, for your words this evening. Ms. Colbatch, you're good?
Okay.
He's going to make sure your bag doesn't get stolen. Yeah. Welcome to Council.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Nuttall, members of Council, staff, audience members, including, I'm sure, many sports clubs. Thank you for the opportunity to continue our engagement and dialogue this evening. We appreciate the conversations we have had with many of our councillors, including Mayor Nuttall, either through email or direct in-person dialogue. As you know, we are here before you this evening to ask you to consider separating out these reports so that we can move forward with the relocation of the Sea Cadets to the Southshore Centre so they may have a safe new home and water access for their sailing program. The outdoor multi-use turf sports field, please consider deferring this item back to staff for further investigation. Let's be clear on this point. If additional sports fields are required due to continued growth for our various sports clubs, let's consider all options, such as indoor facilities that could be utilized 7/24, 365 days a year by everyone. Many of the sports clubs indicated in the consultation process included in the September 2023 report that they preferred indoor sports complexes. Let's continue dialogue with school boards around utilizing existing outdoor fields to their fullest capacity when not in use by school boards. Our understanding is this is the provincial direction our Minister of Education really spoke of, to utilize the combination school and sports fields. Staff should investigate utilizing existing underperforming parks to see what can be done. Please perhaps consider a dome over an existing field to extend playing hours for all. Let's face it, based on our weather patterns, are we really going to be able to extend the shoulder season on any outdoor field? To desecrate our natural heritage environment for a sport field is unthinkable and untenable, as indicated in copious letters, emails, and comments on the circulating petition. Residents and visitors have a great interest in our waterfront and how it's developed. We have options. Our waterfront is open to all residents and visitors and deserves our very best programming. As a city, we have worked hard to continue to improve services along our waterfront for all. More tables, barbecues, accessible Moby mats, umbrella chairs, workout stations, basketball, volleyball courts, an outdoor rink, public shinny hockey. That doesn't include walking, biking, rollerblading, swimming. You get the point. Lots of activities for the residents of Barrie. The inclusion of Military Heritage Park as a commemorative space for reflection, learning, and seating carries on into our natural heritage environment. After all, we call the walking path around the bay our Heritage Waterfront Trail. Public input through the years, whether asked for or not, has identified this open green space with protections should be kept in its natural state. This particular location was approved by Council of the Day in 2020 to remain as a naturalized field with a committee to work towards further passive, naturalized, and native plantings and education opportunities for youth to learn, including a representative of the Barrie Native Friendship Centre. This space is well used and enjoyed by the public. This area is filled with natural flora, fauna, bird life, and wildlife. Photos were provided and are not being shown. Of the approximate $9 million between these two separate projects, when the city says it's coming from tax reserves, money in lieu of parkland and development charges, is that not public tax dollars? Perhaps in future we should not be accepting money in lieu of, but rather actual parkland within new developments. Thank you for your time this evening, and thank you to all who helped inform the public. As they say, it takes a village. And I would like to make special mention to Al McNair, rest in peace. We'll take it from here.
Thank you, Ms. Kolbach, for your presentation. Just on one point that you made, just for everyone to know, the item with regards to the school boards.
Yes.
We have, number one, not been working until this council with the school board on using their facilities.
Right.
They've been maintained separately. Our Community Safety Committee passed a motion, which eventually was passed by council, to start working with the school board on their facilities to open them up when they're not being used. And that is, I believe, Ms. McAlpine started in September or December or something like that?
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. We started with the public school board first and are working with the Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board now to identify sites.
Well, that's good news for everybody.
Absolutely, it is. Thank you. Bio break? Members of council, are we good to keep going? Perfect. Next is Will, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but I think it's DeVellis. Sir Will DeVellis? Oh, sorry, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Nuttall and Council, for allowing me to have the opportunity to speak about the multipurpose sports field and parade ground. My name is Will DeVellis, and I'm the president of the Barrie Soccer Club. I've been part of the club for 18 years. As you can see, I'm supported this evening with a large group of young players that are not only the future of the Barrie Soccer Club, but also the future of our city. I'm also a coach, a volunteer, and a parent of two incredibly talented young soccer players, and proudly a resident of the city of Barrie. My wife and I decided to move to Barrie from Brampton approximately 18 years ago because we knew it would be a safe city which would provide a ton of opportunity for growth for our children. In the past 5 years, as president of the club, I've seen the club grow from 2,000 members to just over 4,000 members. This growth brings great recognition for the hard work that our volunteers and our staff put in each day, but also brings some great challenges, such as field and training time availability. We run an 11-month program, January to the end of November. Ontario Soccer Association, our governing body over the last 3 years, has extended league play beginning in early April and ending in mid-November. Although great that our players get to have a longer season, the challenge is being able to train and compete outdoors during this time, as we do not have enough all-weather fields in our city. Grass fields do not open until the long weekend in May and are closed by mid-September, which is not conducive to the competition period. Recently, I sat in a 5-hour user group meeting at Georgian College with approximately 9 other youth sports user groups. The meeting was to negotiate field rental times at the Georgian turf. Needless to say, no user group left happy. Simply, there is not enough field time for all of our youth. As for the new high school turf on the south end, the field was constructed with no lights. The school board maintains control of the field until 6 p.m., only allowing rentals from 6:15 onwards, ending at 7:30 due to the lack of light. Again, not conducive to the needs of youth sports groups. With the extended season and lack of all-weather fields, we have been forced to rent fields in Orillia and Vaughan and Newmarket in order to play, taking us out of the city that we live in. The players wear the Barrie crest on their chest. It would be great to be able to represent our city that we live in by hosting matches 100% of the time in our own city. During the fall and spring season, the club pays close to $300,000 in rental fees to the town of Bradford for rentals of their dome from September till April. An all-weather field in Barrie would allow us to keep those funds in the city of Barrie and enable us to train and compete outdoors in the fall and spring, only to have to worry about being indoors January and February. We developed a university prep program which assists players on obtaining university soccer scholarships. We have seen 20 players obtain scholarships in the last 3 years. The number of much higher if our players had the same playing field, no pun intended, as some of the competition in the GTA, Eastern Ontario, and in Canada. As mentioned, my family moved from Brampton 18 years ago for better opportunities, and since then, the city of Brampton has developed 2 indoor facilities and 6 outdoor all-weather sports fields. Brampton has developed approximately 22% of Canada's national team players on both the men and women's sides. Our annual Barrie Spirit Fest soccer tournament also brings in $250,000 in hotel, restaurant, and local business revenue each year. It would be fantastic to host teams in a new all-weather field. We know the saying, if you build it, they will come. This project would bring more teams to our tournament, would create more revenue for business, and will increase youth involvement in sport. I will end by saying this. Imagine a youth sports game on a waterfront sports field with residents who walk their dogs, go for a run, or riding their bikes, stopping in for a peek to watch our kids play. What a great sense of community. Most of our kids play on secluded fields in the city where their parents and grandparents watch them play. Imagine the feeling our kids would have if crowds of local passerby are stopping in to watch and cheer them on. Not only a great sense of community, but sometimes the only time these players will have to play in front of a bigger crowd. The city of Barrie waterfront belongs to all residents, not just those in one particular ward. I know that the same is said that for all kids across the city. They are the future of our city, and we need to hand the city over to them in better shape than when we received it. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak this evening on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. I'm now going to call upon Carolina. And Carolina, I'm not going to try to say your last name because I'm not going to say it properly, so I apologize. If you could say Say your name when you get to the microphone, and then I'll be better in the future.
Hello. So my name is Carolina Kukielka. I
Thank
knew you would be having troubles pronouncing it. So I am a resident of Barrie. I moved here about 4.5 years ago from Vaughan. And the reason I moved here is due to the waterfront, because I used to come here, walk my dog, and I loved all the stuff that's going on at the waterfront, like the volleyball, the basketball, you know, the running, all the people, and it was always great to see. And the portion of where the South Community Center is right now is my least favorite. So I used to park by Collier Street and then run there and then just turn around because there was nothing going on there. To give more context, I also volunteer at the Barrie Soccer Club, and 3 of my kids, 2 of them are still playing soccer, and 1 of them unfortunately decided to do something else. But they are all familiar, and they still attend, soccer games and everything involved in that. So I'm just going to say a little bit of boring stuff, because what I heard so far and, read online, a lot of people are a little bit inaccurate in what they're saying with the environmental stuff, and also like what the waterfront should be. So I am basing my speech on the zoning bylaw, the Barrie official plan, and also City of Barrie Transportation Master Plan. A lot of people say, why waterfront? It should be left the way it is. And if you actually look at the map and see where the proposed location of that field is, 60% of it is already a field. And from what I understand, the trees are going to be replanted, so not just cut down, they're going to be moved elsewhere. And going by the official plan, when it speaks about the waterfront in section 5.6.3, it says that the waterfront shall be social and cultural focal point within the city's open space network. And, that seems like the field would be the ideal place for that field would be in the downtown, because everybody can access it freely. There's a lot of transit, people run, people walk, there's a lot of parking, public parking. The Lakeshore Drive is a parkway, which is the major facility that can carry significant volumes of traffic. And not a lot of people know this, but Lakeshore Drive is actually proposed to be widened to 4-lane road, which will just help. People can park there's on-street parking along there, residents can park there. The multi-use sport field also proposes a parking associated with it. And since it's going to be a community soccer field, well, I'm saying soccer because I'm involved with soccer, but it's a multi-purpose, multi-sport field. It is not going to generate a lot of traffic, just based on the IT trip generation, which is the Transportation Engineers Association. It will be very minimal new traffic, and the traffic that's going to be generated by the field is not going to be the same as the rush hours like we usually drive. There's going to be no people or a large number of youth going there in the morning where people drive to work, because everybody will be, the kids have to be driven, people will drive to work, nobody uses that field in the morning. And in the evening, same thing, people have to drive back from work, grab their kids, so it's not going to be the same as the PM rush hour traffic. Just to conclude my speech after the boring part of it, we've heard a lot of stories about the kids
There's only about
being
15
bullied.
seconds left.
Sorry?
15 seconds left.
Oh, then I'm done. And I thought I'm going to be a lot less.
Thank you, Carolina, for
Okay,
your
thank you.
comments this evening. I'll now call upon Sean West. Sean West. Mr. West, welcome to council.
Mayor Nuttall, assembled members of council, attendees here and in the rotunda. My name is Sean West, and I'd like to just start by thanking everyone for the opportunity tonight to provide my thoughts in favor of this proposal for development of a Sea Cadets parade ground and multi-purpose sports field at the waterfront. Civic government is a participatory activity, and regardless of how this progresses, I'm grateful for the time. So thank you. I have lived almost 40 years of my whole life in Barrie. My family and I are multi-use participants when it comes to our waterfront. We annually attend Kempenfest as Rotary Club volunteers. We enjoy fireworks, and if you watch closely enough on Sundays, you can find me struggling along weekly long runs through these same trails and trees. We walk our dog and enjoy ice cream along the waterfront, and we appreciate what our city's natural geography has blessed us with. We truly would not choose to be anywhere else. Likewise, I've spent all of those same years as a lifelong member of the Barrie Soccer Club. The beautiful game and this local club that best supports it have provided me with countless life skills one would associate with youth sports. Leadership opportunities, dozens of diverse lifelong friendships, and almost all of my most treasured memories. I'm proud that both my children are among the thousands of other youth that have been members of the club, and I'm thankful for the good work that this group provides, and for the example of class of character and excellence that they portray our city with. The needs of the Sea Cadets are well documented in prior council meetings, and their patience and perseverance in these challenges is commendable. It's my hope that they receive support for what they and their advocates have been at the forefront of progressing. I have seen firsthand for literal decades how the youth of our city, both in soccer and in other field sports such as lacrosse, rugby, flag football, have been underserved in their access to local multi-use facilities. The needs and growth of the city have far outstripped historical options, and out of necessity, as mentioned, youth athletes from Barrie in many sports must regularly leave the area and become paying tenants in Bradford, Orillia, and further afield, just to train. As a resident of the largest urban and suburban area in Simcoe County, as a person who is concerned about unnecessary commutes and emissions, and as simply a matter of civic pride, this is not an ideal arrangement. Nor is it aligned with the offerings of similar-sized locales throughout the province. Simply put, we lag in this area, and multiple explorations of other options in my lifetime have been repeatedly deprioritized to the detriment of youth sports and recreational opportunities. This is an opportunity to change that in a timely fashion. I'd also use this deputation to cite the Thriving Communities goal in the 2022 to 2026 City Strategic Plan. Specifically, and I'm quoting now, maximizing recreation opportunities, providing programs to support community wellness, contributing to a thriving downtown. All of this could be achieved while adding yet another iconic draw to our waterfront. I can personally envision what this change would mean. I may have to adjust my Sunday runs. However, much like the redesign of the waterfront some years ago along Lakeshore, which faced high degrees of opposition at times, I'm confident that in the long run and with a retrospective view, this proposed development will be a net positive for all residents in terms of recreation opportunities gained, collaborative land use among city organizations, and increased access to sporting opportunity. In closing, I would request that council support this proposal, both as a means to provide the Sea Cadets with what they require to enhance their programs, but as a vehicle to expand truly local recreation opportunities to thousands of families and kids participating with the Barrie Soccer Club and countless other recreational users not represented that would benefit from a multi-purpose field. Thank you again for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. West, for your comments this evening. I'm going to ask council, is everyone good to keep going? Perfect. I'm going to ask a representative of the Barrie Canoe and Kayak Club to make, wonderful. Kids, can we just move a little bit to allow some space here?
Sorry,
Well,
I just need my reading glasses.
No problem. I made the mistake of leaving mine in the car, so I'm with you. If you could just say your name for the record as well, please.
My name is Heather Rosier, and
Welcome
I have
to council.
been a Barrie resident for 33 years now. Good evening, Mayor Nuttall and council members. I am the president of the Barrie Canoe and Kayak Club, which is normally known as BCKC. BCKC was founded in 1979 as a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing local families and individuals with the opportunity to enjoy a safe and enriching paddling experience on Kempenfelt Bay. With over 300 members, we offer low-cost memberships that allow participants to engage in a variety of activities, including paddle nights during the summer, day and overnight canoe trips, and kayak trips, and paddling in our large Voyageur canoes. We also offer hiking and snowshoeing activities to our members. Our membership fees are meant to be affordable. A single parent with up to 4 children can join for just $80 per year. A couple with up to 4 children can join for $145 a year. A BCKC membership provides access to a wide range of equipment, including canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. Because we are run entirely by volunteers, we can offer these affordable memberships, ensuring that Barrie residents have access to boats and essential safety equipment. BCKC supports local organizations such as the Women and Children's Shelter of Barrie and the YMCA by offering low-cost or free membership and instruction. We provide certified instructors who offer training in canoeing, kayaking, and stand-up paddleboarding, fostering a love for these activities within our community. We understand the safety concerns surrounding young sailors and motorized vessels on Kempenfelt Bay. Our club prioritizes safety and works hard to ensure that everyone can enjoy the water without undue risk. Regarding the proposed relocation of the Sea Cadets to the lower boathouse level of the Southshore Community Centre, BCKC is not opposed to this move. However, we do have concerns about how the construction will impact our operations. We need clarity on whether we will be able to continue our activities during construction, and if the new boathouse space will be configured to meet our needs. The current flat grassy area between the boathouse and Kempenfelt Bay is essential for placing boats outside of the boathouse. This alleviates crowding, especially during paddle nights and when multiple courses are running simultaneously. The ramp to the waterfront must not be too steep, ensuring that our volunteers can safely move the 700-pound Montreal Voyageur canoe down to the dock and back to the boathouse. We also need a safe place for new paddlers to learn and practice. Canoes, being slower moving and less maneuverable, cannot quickly move out of the way of faster boats. We are very concerned that having inexperienced sailors sharing the area with novice paddlers could result in accidents or injuries. Having separate designated areas for different types of boating would help to ensure the safety of all boaters. Our boathouse requires sufficient space to accommodate multiple people accessing boats simultaneously. We need a workshop with good ventilation for refinishing and repairing boats and paddles. Additionally, the training room is essential for our board and coordinator meetings, as well as for conducting courses that are open to both BCKC members and the public. Vehicle access to the boathouse is also crucial for loading boats onto trailers for use at other locations. BCKC wants to work with council and the city staff to ensure that these needs are met and that the transition is smooth for all the parties involved. Thank you for hearing me tonight.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation this evening and for clearly articulating the needs there. Arnie Ivesons, I've seen you You're here. There you are, right in the center. So we're going to hear Arnie plus two more deputants, and then we're going to take a 5-minute bio break.
Just a moment before I start, if you don't mind, I'd just like to acknowledge Deputy Mayor Thompson and Councillors Corser, Hamilton, and Mr. Harris for joining us Monday for a very hastily gathered meeting. And Mr. Harris did send regrets from other members of council because he had other commitments and things like that. So I appreciate that, Mr. Harris, for putting that together. Thank you. Dear Mayor and Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Although I'm affiliated with the Allendale Neighborhood Association, the ANA, and support wholeheartedly their stance on this matter and comments made by Mr. Scott and Ms. Colbatch, the opinions expressed in this deputation are my own. I want to begin by saying that I support the relocation of the cadets to the safer southern shores of the bay. As has been suggested by the ANA, I feel that there is sufficient space west of the General Cater Southshore Community Centre to develop a single-use parade ground for the approximately 165 cadets. Common size for such a parade ground is 160 paces by 80 paces, and as was discussed at a meeting Monday, in other cities they are held in gymnasiums, legions, parking lots, as the size varies. I also want to say this is not about sports. As a child, I played minor soccer. I was on school teams for track, volleyball, soccer, and basketball. I play hockey 2-3 times a week. I have no objection whatsoever to a multi-use field. It'd be wonderful for Barrie to get that, but just not at the proposed location. There's an old saying in real estate, location, location, location. All of Barrie's residents and taxpayers own this waterfront location. And if it wasn't for Kathy Colbatch sipping her Saturday morning tea a week and a half ago, curious about what was on the council agenda for May the 8th, and frantically emailing a few of us asking, did any of you see this? There would only be a handful of people here tonight. Mayor Nuttall, in an article dated December the 12th, 2022, you were quoted saying, as we all know, transparency in the process of government decision-making is of extremely high importance. So I ask you and members of council, where's the transparency here? The ANA met with yourself and Councillor Harris here at City Hall on May the 7th. When we asked about this proposed development, because we hadn't heard anything about it until a few days prior, you both basically said in not so many words, everyone knows about it, it's public knowledge. How could you not know? I'm surprised you didn't know. Part of that is true if you count Barrie Minor Baseball, Barrie District Girls Softball, Huronia Stallions Football, Barrie Rugby, Barrie Soccer Club, Barrie Minor Lacrosse, and the Sea Cadets being part of public knowledge, who all had at least 2 in-person meetings and a Zoom meeting per Development Service Report dated September 20th, 2023. In regards to those meetings, Barrie Baseball was not interested, saying it was neat to have community spaces by the water and beautiful to be able to go down and play beach volleyball right by there. Barrie Rugby preferred a dome. The Stallions, I quote, Huronia Stallions football indicated that they were not in favor of building up the waterfront and blocking access to the public and favored a natural and beautiful waterfront. Bravo, Stallions. So in reality, this is a soccer and lacrosse facility only in terms of sports. And I'll let others address and describe the aesthetics and consequences of a chain link fence, nighttime lighting, noise, parking, an electronic scoreboard, $5,000 picnic tables, and the detrimental environmental impact of our waterfront. And don't forget your pledge last September to consult with representatives of First Nations and Indigenous peoples to designate a portion of land in this area to honor their traditions and provide space for gatherings as part of your waterfront strategic plan. So why wasn't the public invited to these 3 meetings with the sports clubs and cadets? Paragraph 21 from that same report reads, due to the short timeline for the delivery of this report, staff were unable to undertake full community and stakeholder consultations for the South Shore location and recommend that this process be part of a feasibility study. But you somehow found time to meet with sports clubs and cadets. Mayor Nuttall and Councillor Harris, we asked you both on May the 7th if a feasibility study was even completed. Neither of you knew. My guess that it wasn't. And the only action item for 2024 listed on that document was a feasibility study. The design development phase wasn't scheduled until 2025. What's the rush? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, more of a where there's smoke, there's fire kind of guy. Simply put, council didn't nor want to undertake any consultations with citizens because you didn't want us to know, knowing it would have been rejected almost unanimously by city residents. For a $10 million waterfront proposal, the city didn't even post a sign along the waterfront. An agenda item just before summer recess was the only public notification. In 2017, the Barrie Baycats wished for a waterfront stadium, which was met with great disapproval from residents. The 2020 City Council, and I believe 6 of you are members of that council, approved a plan in early 2020 to instead prioritize the naturalization of Allendale Station Park and Military Heritage Park, and Al McNair was mentioned earlier. And now you want to build on the very same land you pledged to protect. Expand the pollinator garden, have an interactive bee house. The City Council decided to move this forward as quickly and quietly as possible with backdoor meetings and secret handshakes, hoping to slide under everyone's radar. Darn that Kathy Colbatch. Democracy, where's the public meeting to justify a $4.6 million expense of taxpayer money for a sports field on the waterfront?
Thank you so much, Mr. Iveson. Your time is complete. So folks, surely, if the 8-year-olds can play by the rules, our adults can too, right? So let's make sure we do that. I'm going to ask Mr. Sample, Tim Sample, to come up and deliver his presentation.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, city staff, and members of the public. My name is Tim Sample, and I'm an inductee of the Barrie Sports Hall of Fame. Who would have guessed that a kid from Barrie would be on 2 Olympic and 10 World Championship teams, along with being the chief operating officer of a Canada Games, where 5,000 athletes, officials came from all over Canada to participate in 26 sports and cultural activities. What sticks out in all of this, though, is that sports teach young people goals, how to get along with people, discipline, how to face adversity, how to manage through it, and most importantly, how to be a good person and a future community leader. As a youth, we didn't have a lot of facilities downtown. We only had Queen's Park, North and Central Collegiates, Dunlop Arena, and the Bay as our sports playground. Here we played football, track, soccer, canoed, swam, played indoor and outdoor hockey. We also skated at the Winter Carnival on the Bay on the ice in front of 30,000 people on the ice. Now most of that is gone, with Queen's Park being the only downtown sport and recreation area, along with the lakeshore walking and bike path. Instead, the school board bulldozed Red Story Field at Central, which was dedicated by the Hall, the city, Red Story himself, to recognize his iconic stature and contributions. Now there's no football, soccer, rugby, and track for the present and new residents downtown, just a piece of dirt. What I saw in my travels to many other countries were sport facilities by lakes, rivers, streams in downtown areas with communities that embraces their youth and encourages all types of recreational activities. In fact, in European cities, they have sports schools and facilities to educate and complement the growth of youth through sport and recreation. Canadian cities like London, Kingston, Ottawa also have downtown facilities for all of their community use. Not only are these sports and recreation activities healthy, they teach life skills and help grow young people into men and women who have become business leaders and community leaders, contributing and giving back to the well-being of our community. Examples of this are our inductees in the Barrie Sports Hall of Fame. Red Story, who was an NHL referee, a CFL football player, and in the Canadian and Hockey Hall of Fame. Greg Johnson, an NHLer, who's now a Barrie police officer. Shane Corson, an NHLer and local business owner. Doug Lee, who's an Olympic figure skating coach and owner of the Mariposa School of Skating. Dave Mills, past president of the Bay Cats and a VP of Bell. Stephanie Sherlock, a pro golfer on the LPGA and general manager of Samoro Golf Club. And then there's Fanny Rosenfeld, Canadian athlete of the half century and in the Canadian Hall of Fame. Mike Gardner, Hockey Hall of Fame and NHL player and a business owner in Barrie. And many more remain in our community. I would like to leave people with a couple of thoughts. Let's think of our youth and what this facility will contribute to the well-being and the future with an open mind and the betterment of our community. Let's remember, we all wouldn't be living in our homes if the topography hadn't changed and the trees weren't cut down. There wouldn't have been a train station, train tracks, a marina, a Centennial Beach, a Central Collegiate, a Queen's Park, a walking biking path, and a business as Lakeview Dairy was if the topography hadn't changed. All of this wouldn't have happened in a proper way without the expertise and knowledge of the city staff, consultants, and engineers. These professionals are more aware in today's world the needed elements and will ensure we protect our environment, and they certainly will and do strive to make our community a better place for now and the future. Let's all look to the future and not keep our heads in the sand. Let's contribute to the well-being of our youth and their growth as we are given the opportunity as a youth ourselves. So in conclusion, let the city do their job and let them help the leaders of the future. And just maybe, we could call the new field the Red Story Field and restore the memory of an iconic Barrie individual whose field was destroyed. Just saying. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sample, for your words, please, folks. Thank you for your words today and your presentation. We're going to have one more, and then we're going to take the bio break. Daniel Abayadun, on behalf of Blacks for All Races. Is Daniel here? Welcome to council. Please correct me if I'm not saying your name correctly.
So Daniel was supposed to be here. He had to step out for an emergency, but we are all Black BFAR, which is Blacks for All Races. And with Barrie experiencing, significant population growth and demand for recreational space has also increased. Building a third turf field at Southshore Park would help meet this growing demand and ensure the residents have ample opportunities for outdoor activities. Adding a multi-use field there would enhance accessibility to sports and recreational activities for residents across the city. It would provide a central location for various groups, including youth clubs like the Barrie Soccer Club, to utilize and enjoy. The proposal addresses the need for the all-weather field space, recognizing that sports like soccer are increasingly played year-round. This turf field would allow for extended seasons and provide a reliable playing surface, regardless of weather conditions, benefiting not only organized sports clubs, but also individual residents looking for recreational opportunities. The project has the potential to stimulate the local economy by attracting more visitors to downtown Barrie. Increased foot traffic from families attending games and events at the new field could benefit local businesses and others in the area, contributing to vibrant downtown community. The proposal reflects a collaborative effort between various stakeholders, including sports clubs, local businesses, and city officials, demonstrating a commitment to meeting the diverse needs of the community. It's an opportunity to create a space that fosters community engagement, health, and well-being for residents of all ages. I'm also a mother of 3, and having these spaces is really important for children who are now really increasingly engaged in the online space, video games. I want to get my kids out there playing and having fun. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Is it noted the name change on there, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Nettle, I did not get the deputant's name.
Eric, if you could run around and grab the name just so the clerk has it for the record.
I'm Sabrina Morris.
Sabrina, thank you so much, Sabrina. Appreciate it. I'm going to take a break until 8:33. That's 5 minutes. And our next deputant, so you can get ready and be on deck here, is Sharon Harris-Tuck on behalf of Manette's Point Residents Community. We're going to reconvene. All members of council are back to the table, and we're going to begin with Sharon Harris-Tuck on behalf of the Manette's Point Residents Community. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of the Manette's Point Residents Community. We want to begin by stating that we too believe that the city of Barrie needs more public spaces, more recreational spaces for youth and adults, and that the Sea Cadets need a safe place to meet. We are, however, opposed to the development of a multi-use sports field and parade ground at the Allendale Station Park. Tonight, we have not heard why that is the only location. This sports field goes against Barrie's 2023 Waterfront Strategic Plan, and I quote, "The area is to provide visitors with educational experiences through exposure to native wildlife, plants, and natural hydrological functions. All waterfront changes need to be inclusive, and it recommends no changes that negatively impact the environment should take place." The Waterfront Strategic Plan did not advise bulldozing a forest field habitat, replacing it with artificial turf and fencing it in. There is a significant loss of natural habitat proposed in a way that completely bisects the forest and grassland area. This development's sizable fenced-in sports field with a gate would be accessed only by a few rather than by many. This is not how a fully public space at Barrie's waterfront should function. This proposal doesn't solve Barrie's need for a year-round sports field with ample parking or washroom facilities. All alternatives need to be investigated before targeting this natural environment, a feature that cannot be replaced by simple tree planting. There are alternatives, many offering additional options for amenities and the option to be domed for year-round use. Perhaps an extension to the Southshore Centre with a YMCA partnership, or the proposed South End Sports Complex. The provincial government is emphasizing joint use facilities with school boards, and we have heard tonight that council is working on this. Awesome, all the more reason to defer the decision. What is really driving the scope and urgency of this development proposal? It's driven by the potential to build a restaurant on a prime waterfront location where the Sea Cadets currently are. This is the first domino, resulting in the need to move the Sea Cadets elsewhere, which is domino number 2. And they ask for a parade ground, domino number 3. And then the parade ground is blown up into domino number 4, a premium multi-use sports field. We are concerned with the lack of public consultation with this proposal. We're asking council to reject or defer the sports field parade ground decision until widespread public engagement and consultation is held. Alternative locations are thoroughly explored and key impact studies are completed. This proposal should not be considered until the following studies have been completed and made public. Alternate locations for public sports field parade grounds, considering public or private partnerships, environmental implications, cataloging species, including those at risk, and a traffic impact study, the environmental impacts of artificial turf and impacts of amplified noise and lighting to wildlife and neighboring residents. This sports field goes against Barrie's 2023 Waterfront Strategic Plan. This issue concerns all Barrie residents who enjoy the waterfront, whether they live nearby it or not. In fact, in only 1 week, almost 3,000, it could be over 3,000 by now because we're checking by the minute it's going up. The signatures that we have gotten against this proposed location. Again, we are not against sports fields for our kids. We love our kids as much as you do, and many of our kids are in Barrie sports. They're in soccer, they're in hockey, they're in all
Thank
sports.
you, ma'am. Unfortunately, I have to cut you off at that point.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Council.
I'm going to invite up Valeria Zavalna, please. may be saying the name incorrectly, and I apologize. Valeria Zavolna. Okay, we're going to pass that, and I'll ask again at the end in case the individual shows up at a later point. We're going to go to Trish Young, please. Trish Young. Welcome to Council, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Council and Mayor and Councillor Harris, who always returns phone calls. Your dedication to public service is appreciated, and your neutrality doesn't go unnoticed. So I'm going to speak about our only waterfront that we have and the only naturalized area in a parks plan that was publicly vetted and in an official plan that was publicly vetted. It's important to me for physical wellness. My family walks there. It is unprogrammed recreational space. Everybody can enjoy it, of all abilities and ages. It's open to ski, bird watch. You can walk there without sharing the multi-use path with the bikes. It's why I purchased my house and why many people moved to Barrie, and I appreciate that that park remained natural in the parks plan. So I have a question for Council. How does it fit into the waterfront strategic plan and the update that's been approved in October 2023, where eco-education, returning the meadow to Oak Savannah and rewilding the area, and animating it with sculpture and interpretive signage? So the Parks Plan goal for the waterfront is to be inclusive, resilient, activated, and accessible to all, not fenced. And with Barrie's newly designation as a bird city, I think it's important to honor that. I do question how this decision would fit into OP Policy 563, that the waterfront be managed in an environmentally responsible manner for future generations, and your climate and adaptation strategy to protect biodiversity and enhance ecosystem function. So this area is designated for enhancement in the waterfront plan. Another question I have is, how does a $9 million project, not in any of the wonderful plans that your staff have prepared, how do you justify spending that money when it looks like your asset management plan for parks shows a $6 million deficit for the whole rest of the park program for 10 years? The staff report states that the funds have to come from deferred or deleted projects. Where did the money come from? What is not being funded with this proposal? Also, I notice your asset management plan has 55 soccer fields in Barrie. 3 lit are projected. So that is the Sports Complex, Salem, and Hewitt's. And it sounds like Sadlin is also possibly another opportunity. If there is money, it seems there's a lot of interest in the soccer program. Can we take some of that money and improve those fields now, get those kids playing now so they don't have to wait in a variety of locations throughout the city? Another question I have for Council is Bill 23, if that caps parkland dedication rates, what do your projections show about when debt is incurred? When do you go from the black to the red with the cap on parkland? And how are you going to manage a $9 million project? I noticed the waterfront parks plan always contemplated fixing the cadet building. So why wouldn't you just fix it now with the money, if the money has been found, and then the cadets won't be displaced? And I guess my last point is, can we defer a $9 million project and not be rushed into finding or sterilizing the waterfront land? We can find marching grounds, we can find a home for the Sea Cadets, we could possibly improve where they are now and send some of that money to the soccer programs and the fields that are already there, and make sure that we can pay our bills in the future and maintain all of our wonderful assets. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation this evening. I'm now going to call upon Diane Chislett on behalf of the Barrie Sea Cadets to come up and make your presentation.
Thank you, Council, for your indulgence. My name is Diane Chislett, and I am the president of the Barrie branch for Navy League of Canada that oversees the Sea Cadets and the Navy Leagues. I've been working with these groups now for 22 years, including my predecessors. We've been trying to move the Sea Cadets for 30 years. This year, the Sea Cadets will be having their 80th year graduation, which is a shining example to the program and what we like to call Canada's best kept secret. It is a free youth program. It's inclusive. We always support our kids, even those that come in. Sometimes they haven't had dinner because they don't have that money. So we make sure that they're always taken care of. Our kids come first. Our program made it all the way through COVID with online training and was designed always to be an on-hands program. So this was very difficult for the officers and the volunteers. However, they made it possible. They made including boat building online, cooking, community cleanups, and even how to change a tire. So many of our cadets have gone on to become doctors, paramedics, nurses, Supreme Court justices, and outstanding members of the Canadian Armed Forces who serve and protect our democracies and our freedoms. Because of the training that takes place in cadets, when the tornado of '85 happened, the Barrie Cadets assembled and assisted with the Barrie citizens. They were one of the first on hand. Our cadets have traveled nationally and internationally. They have been given opportunities to learn and to lead. On our trip to Europe, they were paired up with a school group, and the principal of the school wrote us a letter after the trip complimenting our group in every way possible, from punctuality, mannerisms, and going out of their way to acknowledge the historic sites they were taken to during the expedition and back. Our cadets have sailed on the Great Lakes, the Pacific, Atlantic Oceans, and taken on a trip to Greenland and back. These are opportunities that they cannot get elsewhere. And free. Did I mention free? We need this relocation desperately. I believe that the City of Barrie is looking out for the future and delivering opportunities that are not available right now within the city so far for many young people. The Parade Square is an essential part of our program for training. We do rigging, team events, multifunctional on-land training for the sailing before we actually put them out on the water. And now by incorporating the area into a multi-use field, this will be given more residents of Barrie the opportunity to have their organizations actually within the city limits. I think that we can agree upon the fact that after COVID, we need to have our kids involved in teams to recapture the social aspect of humanity. Being part of a team, whether it is cadets, soccer, football, baseball, is essential for character growth into responsible adults. Competition spurs on to achieve better, not only for themselves, for their families, their group, their team, their community, and their country. I am sure that everyone will agree that these youths are the future of our country, and we need to invest in their continued growth. We need to let them get involved in their communities. Look around the stands, and you will see kids that didn't have to show up tonight. They wanted to show up tonight. This is because this is extremely important to them. Whether they know this or not, this has been a learning event for them also, and perhaps someday, they will be in a governmental seat in order to make our world a better place. I completely understand the resistance to the parade square and field, and in early talks with the cities, we discussed the importance of an indoor parade square. After investigations and cost analysis, we compromised with an outdoor area in order to save the city money and not use up precious space inside a building that would not benefit the majority of people in Barrie. It is important, especially nowadays, to pay close attention to the environment, and the council has already planned to plant 1,000 trees along the lakefront. So please understand that the city has taken everything into account to come up with the best idea for
Diane,
so many.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I have to cut you off, but
I'm
same
good.
with everybody. Thank you. I'm going to invite Alexandra McNabb on behalf of Navy League to come down to the microphone for a presentation.
I just keep reminding myself if the 11-year-olds can speak, then I can also speak. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for having me. My name is Alexandra McNabb. I currently live in Alliston, Ontario, but I moved to Barrie 20 years ago, also from Brampton, like our president of the soccer club. And I'm the Navy League Barrie branch secretary. I've been an executive branch member since November 2022, when my youngest son joined the Navy League Cadets. My experience with the Barrie Navy League and Sea Cadets actually began around 10 years ago when my oldest son joined the Corps. He's over there. Unfortunately, he was unable to continue. I was to be moved out of the area to a city that wasn't fortunate enough to offer a cadet program. Over the last 10 years, I've been surprised by the number of people I've encountered in both my personal and professional life who have been involved with the Barrie Navy League and Sea Cadets in one way or another. Though my personal experience with the program isn't what you may consider impactful, my hope in speaking with you today is to shed a little light on why this program is such a valued part of the Barrie community, and remind you that a new boathouse and parade square isn't just a building, a field, or a new place to run our sail program, but a place that Barrie's young people, their families, and future generations can continue to access and grow our Navy League and Sea Cadet programs. I want to tell you a story tonight about Master Cadet, or MC Marcus, with permission from MC Marcus and his parents. MC Marcus is a member of our Sea Cadet program. When I joined the branch and started attending our Tuesday and Wednesday parade nights in 2022, I always noticed a very quiet cadet who usually ended up sitting in the stairs while the rest of the group participated in their regular parade night duties and activities. You could tell that he was anxious, hesitant to participate, and waiting to be picked up at the end of the night. This was the first year back from trying to navigate the cadet program online during the COVID-19 pandemic, and many of our cadets were brand new to the program. Over the last 18 months, I have witnessed MC Marcus make new friends, participate in parades and our sailing program, and even show some of his teenage sarcasm and sense of humor. Last year at our annual ceremonial review, I proudly took MC Marcus's picture for his mom who couldn't attend, as he received the award for Most Improved Cadet. He likely has very little idea of who I am, aside from one of the branch members who occasionally attends parade nights, but I have been privileged to watch him grow up and come out of his shell as a person and a cadet. This is just a brief example of one of the many stories I could tell you about the impact our program has on the youth in Barrie and surrounding communities. We are fortunate enough to be in the city with the ability to offer our sailing program on Kempenfelt Bay. Our cadets and their families travel from many other communities such as Stayner, Elmvale, Severn, and Richmond Hill. Those parents and guardians who travel from out of town do so because we were able to offer our sailing program. in addition to the various other activities our corps offer. I have seen the pride that my niece and nephew take in their uniforms and obtaining their sailing credentials. In early May, we held our spring tagging fundraiser. I had several cadets proudly telling me about the community members they spoke with who shared their own experiences with the cadet program over the years, as well as many parents sharing how their normally extremely shy and introverted children were sharing information about the program with anyone who walked by. These are not skills or opportunities that these children have within their schools. We need the space to continue to run our programs and grow. Our cadets require a parade square and space to continue our sailing program. We need space for our future generations to build lifelong friendships and develop valuable skills that they will use in their future careers. I ask that you consider the thousands of cadets who have been and will continue to be in our cadet programs when deciding on the approval of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra, for your presentation this evening. We're now going to go on to the emergency deputation approvals. Stephen Donkers. Welcome to council, Stephen. You have 5 minutes for your presentation as well, sir.
I'll try to keep this brief. I know we've had a lot of speakers tonight. Good evening, Mayor Nuttall and council members. My name is Steve. I'm a Ward 4 resident here in the city of Barrie. Barrie is also my home city, so I've been here a long time. I want to express my support for the proposed development of the new multi-use sports field and parade grounds. I acknowledge that there are concerns from some residents regarding this project and urban development at large. However, this initiative is more than just a win for our youth. It is a victory for the whole city. I support this because I see the project as a valuable investment in our young people and a step towards a brighter future for our lakeshore. The fact is, Barrie is growing, it's not shrinking. It's evolving from a small city to a middle-sized urban center. The benefits of this project far outweigh any potential drawbacks. As Barrie continues to grow, supporting projects that will benefit not just the current population, but also future generations are vital. This multi-use sports field and parade grounds will provide a much-needed space for our youth to engage in healthy physical activities, develop their skills, and foster a sense of community. And while the notion of big change can be intimidating, a little scary, the prospect of progress is thrilling. It's bold. It's necessary. I believe in Barrie. I believe in the city. And I want a city that embraces opportunities for growth and positive change. Our city's youth today and the generations that follow deserve this. So make the right call and build it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donkers, for your presentation. I'm now going to call upon Derek Lubert. Welcome to council.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall and members of council. Appreciate the time to be here today. I'm here in full support of the proposed multi-purpose sports field. My history is I've lived in Barrie my entire life, proudly, and I've also proudly been a member of the Barrie Soccer Club since I was 4. And I've witnessed a lot of growth in the city of Barrie over my tenure here, and the one thing I haven't seen keep up with the pace of the growth that we've seen in this community is access to multi-purpose fields such as this. And I'm going to make soccer references because there's a large soccer component to this, but I also want to recognize that this is a multi-purpose field and it's not just for soccer. I think it gives accessibility to a lot of sports. With that being said, I echo the comments that have been said here tonight about having our youth travel to other cities, even places like Aurelia, which has outpaced Barrie in terms of its accessibility to a field of this caliber. So I think Barrie is a bit behind in this regard, and I think it's a great opportunity to get us caught up here. And, I hope members of council and the mayor and everybody here were as moved as I was at the youth that had the bravery to speak here tonight. And it really got me thinking about why this field is so important to the community. And not just to expand and maximize the accessibility to recreational facilities, but especially with a focus on the accessibility piece. Because, well, for some it may be achievable for them to, as they progress in their sporting lives, to travel to places like Toronto and Bradford and Orillia. That's not the reality for everybody. And I think, unfortunately, there may be youth that get capped what they can do in Barrie because of that accessibility. And I think this field really does give us that opportunity to allow them to continue to progress in sports, and which continues to build their character, develop them as leaders, things like that. So I think the youth thing is where I'm coming at from this, and it's been especially apparent to me starting to volunteer coach youth soccer and just seeing the difference it makes on those kids in a short period of time, having the ability to play soccer and what they learn from that. So I guess I'll try to keep this brief as well, because I know we've had a long night with deputations here, but in terms of the location of it, I understand opposition on location, but to me, I feel it's the perfect location. I see it as a symbol of Barrie being a community that supports active lifestyle, health, sports, youth, and I think there's no better place to put it than right at our waterfront. Even driving here along the waterfront to get here tonight, I saw the basketball courts and I saw youth playing there, and they get pulled in a lot of different directions at this age, and to have the ability to play sports and have it accessible in our community in a central location, I think is paramount. So I just imagine that field as a symbol of Barrie for years to come. I imagine what it would do for a young person to play a game on that field during the day or under the lights in front of people, in front of their family, in front of their friends, and what that does to their confidence. And then I imagine ultimately what those youth in our community is going to do for the future of this community. So I'm fully supportive of the proposed development of the multi-sports field, and I appreciate the time again tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Full disclosure, Derek and I went to elementary and high school together, and he stayed in shape and I didn't. It's the soccer. I've got a foot says that it isn't the soccer. Okay, it might be the meals. I'm going to now invite Dorothy McEwen on behalf of the Bird Friendly City team.
Hi. Hello, Council. I know a lot of you being on the Bird Friendly City team and being on the ATS committee. And I have to admit, being on the ATS committee, which stands for Active Transportation and Sustainability, I was actually a bit concerned that this wasn't discussed there. So the Bird Friendly City team is composed of Nature Barrie, Living Green, Pollinate Barrie, Barrie Garden Club, Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition, Wild Birds Unlimited, the NVCA, the Friends of Menacing Wetlands, Simcoe County Environmental Youth Alliance, the Youth for Lake Simcoe, and we also consult with our Williams Treaty First Nation host on this land we call Barrie. I'm also the former Regional Director of Ontario Nature, and as I said, I'm on the Active Transportation Committee. I've also been asked to speak for the Ward 1 Neighbors Association, my book club, and my hairdresser. My niece was a member. I guess what I'm going to focus on is we need more consultation. I certainly, I'm a great aunt and hopefully a good neighbor. And I have grandnephews and grandnieces who are in sports in Midland, so of course they come to Barrie to play sometimes too. My niece was a member of the international famous Burlington Teen Tour Band, and more recently, she was in an adult Navy marching band. For both of these, the practices were in a parking lot, and for the pattern formation shows, they borrowed a grass sports field. The Sea Cadets wouldn't be going from boats to marching, so they don't really need it right in the same area, I would think. They can use the Saddle Area Park or Park Place parking lots, some school fields, or Base Borden. I mean, my niece would come from Hamilton to train at Base Borden. If transportation is a problem, could they possibly use a bus service? I mean, could we not give them a chartered bus or something if that's a problem? Barrie was the 15th city in Canada to be certified as a bird-friendly city in 2022 and barely at entry level. If we get reevaluated this summer, it's not a lifetime achievement award that is never ending. We get reevaluated every 2 years, which is this summer, and actions such as this denaturalization of a large area on the waterfront of a major migratory bird route could result in Barrie being the first city to lose its bird-friendly status. But that's not why I'm here. Simcoe County's motto is for the greater good, and that's what I want to do, is something that is for the greater good. So again, my focus is, can we not renegotiate among all the groups? And so I'll just make a few comments that I have problems with this proposal. As I mentioned, I think to Mayor Alex the other day, Eastern redbud is not native to this area. It's usually in southern Ontario. It's an ornamental, and I want to thank the Rotary Club because I know they often give us give funding for a lot of our projects, but it's not native, it's an ornamental, and it's probably best that they consult with either the Garden Club, Living Green, or even better, one of our First Nations local plant experts. An email was sent, I believe, out to Council and the Mayor today from Dr. Patrick Gonzalez regarding the negative effects of the denaturalization of this area and the toxics and the problems of having artificial turf near a water body. He was born in Canada, but he visits Minette's Point often, and he's the lead author of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and shares the 2017 Nobel Peace Prize with Al Gore for the documentary An Inconvenient Truth. So he's someone who comes from Berkeley, California. He's also I'm not sure his position at Berkeley, California, but so he comes and enjoys Minette's Point as well. So one of the problems I have, artificial turf, there's a 20% greater chance for non-contact injury due to abrasions, less traction, and less shock absorption. To me, that's 99.9% too high. Dr. Gonzalez outlines the problem of the toxicity of artificial turf because it will accumulate, it will run off. It's going into Lake Simcoe.
I'm sorry, Dorothy, I need to cut you off.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
the end
already?
of the 5 minutes.
Oh no. Okay.
We do have the correspondence from earlier, though, I understand. And so thank you for your presentation.
Okay. Sorry,
and
can
I'm
I
gonna
just
call
say
on
one
the
more
next person
thing?
to come up to the microphone.
One of the big problems we have, we're concerned with climate change, and I have one word for you, tornadoes. Barrie's in a tornado alley. If we don't really get serious about climate change, because the artificial turf is heat retentive and so are asphalt parking lots, and we need to be doing planting, a lot more planting. If we spend a lot more money planting all over Barrie, because
I'm going to have to call it there. Thank
our
you.
last tornado, if you look on Google Maps.
I'm going to ask Victor Capabianco to come down to the microphone.
There's
Victor
no grass.
Capabianco. Victor Capabianco. Victor going once, twice, 3 times. I'm next going to ask Fabio Neves. If that's, was I close, sir? I was a little bit close. That's a cup half full type of answer. I like that. Thank you. Welcome to council. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hello, members of the Barrie community, City Council, and City Mayor. I'm grateful for your time and attention today. My name is Fábio Novaes. Yeah, it's a Portuguese name, so I know it's a little bit harder. I'm the U12 head coach at Barrie Soccer Club. As proud member of the Barrie community, a resident, a devoted soccer coach, and an immigrant who sought a better life for my two sons, Pedro and Bernardo. They were here, but it's bad time, so they have school tomorrow. I stand before this council to advocate for the multipurpose sports field situated at the lakefront. Being actively involved in the soccer community, I have witnessed firsthand the pressing need for more sports fields, a challenge that hampers the development of the sport in our city. With a diverse and expanding population settling in Barrie, an increased number of children seek opportunities to engage in sports, with soccer being the most accessible and inclusive choice for many. Soccer, a sport that requires nothing more than a ball. I know because I'm from Brazil, so it's my background there. I can take testimony to that. A ball and a space to play. Face challenge during the extended winter months. The Barrie Sports Dome, the sole availability location during winter, is shared among multiple sports, making challenge secure practice lots for soccer teams. Moreover, the high costs associated with renting time slots at the Dome pose financial constraints for many teams and, more important, families. The prospect of having an additional outdoor option to extend our comments to soccer season not only instills hope within the soccer community, but also showcase the strong bond between citizen and the Barrie Council. I listened to the deliberations regarding the merits and concerns surrounding the turf field at the waterfront, while environment impacts, waterfront preservation, and pedestrian paths were discussed at length. One crucial aspect should be prioritized: the well-being and development of our children and youth. That's the most important here. Even, of course, environment, it's very, very important, but we are talking about our children, our kids in the community. I urge you to scan the gallery here and contemplate the significance of ensuring a brighter future for our younger generation. While cannabis and liquor stores operate until late hours every day, we find ourselves deliberating on providing essential activities for our children to lead healthy lives, learning respect, and foster social interactions. Soccer stands out as an incredible, inclusive, and affordable sport. How valuable is the lifespan of a turf field when weighed against the formative years of youth, influencing their futures exponentially? To the members of this team council, I pose this question: how do you wish to be remembered? I implore you to be remembered as the pioneers who offered this generation, not the next one, this generation, the opportunity to blossom into well-rounded individuals and provide them with space to create everlasting memories. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation tonight, sir. I'm going to call upon Chris Franco to come down to the microphone. Mr. Franco, welcome to council, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, and fellow residents. I stand before you today to advocate for the approval of this multi-purpose field. This proposal, outlined in a comprehensive report provided by the City of Barrie, presents a meticulous, planned initiative that promises immense benefits for our community. Firstly, the development of a multi-use sports field aligns with the city's vision of promoting active lifestyles, enhancing recreational opportunities for residents. By approving this concept, we are not only investing in infrastructure, but we are also investing in the health and well-being of our citizens, fostering a sense of community. Reasons why this location is perfect. Accessibility. It's situated as the southern gateway
to Barrie's core waterfront area. The field offers easy access for residents and visitors alike. Its location at the head of Kempenfelt Bay ensures that it serves as a central point for recreational activities. Number 2, existing infrastructure. Allendale Station is already equipped with amenities like the Waterfront Heritage Trail and Southshore Centre, which houses washroom facilities. This existing infrastructure enhances the field's appeal and convenience for users. Number 3, it's a symbol of our investment in our community. Overall, the location offers a balance of accessibility, existing infrastructure, policy support, environmental stewardship, community engagement, and historical significance, making it a perfect site for the proposed sports field project. Moreover, the proposed synthetic turf offers a multitude of advantages over natural turf, including extended playing seasons, consistent surface quality, and reduced environmental impact. Furthermore, the inclusion of a parade ground in this concept not only fulfills a specific community need, but also enhances the functionality of this sports field. In conclusion, the approval of this multi-use sports field is not just only an investment in infrastructure, it's an investment in our community's future. By providing accessible, high-quality recreational facilities, we are fostering a healthier, happier, and more vibrant city for generations to come. Thank you for your time and consideration. Let us seize this opportunity to enhance the quality of our life for all our residents in our city. Vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franco. I'm going to invite Beethoven Krasko up. How are you, Beethoven? It's good to see you. Floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and I would like to thank you for this opportunity for me to speak and express my voice regarding this proposed multi-project. Personally, I am in support for this project for the reason that this would benefit my 2 sons, and as we all know, the core value of the family and the reason why we exist is because based on our family. So this project that if will be realized would benefit the following factors, which I will enumerate. This will promote sports among our children, and it will promote health related activities, and at the same time it will attract tourism in our city. Every summer we could see the highway in a traffic, most of the people going to Muskoka and visiting their cottage. So with the establishment of this sports facility, it will attract more tourism, especially for those people coming from Toronto to visit our place, and it will also boost up the business in our city. And likewise, one of the benefits that would result is it will refrain our children from being exposed to drugs, and at the same time it will refrain them from doing negative activities, which it will make a negative impact on their lives. And this project, the location is very ideal because of the fact that this is very accessible to the transportation. We have the train, and we have the every summer, a lot of people coming from different places would visit our lakeshore to experience the activities in the summertime. In fact, I have friends and families who are based in Toronto and other parts of the neighboring area who would drive here for an hour just to experience our nature. And Barrie is an all year round place because during summertime we have the lakeshore. During winter time we have also the different snow related activities. So as far as the environment is concerned, wherein some of the trees will be uprooted, it's part of the development because somehow, somewhere, when I arrived here 19 years ago, I see that there's some limited activities wherein we could indulge among ourselves. So with this the development, it is just natural that we need to succumb or adjust with the rising population that somehow, in due respect with the residents who are living in Minutes Point and those who oppose this development, somehow, somewhere, long before, the house where, or the location where you live was once planted with trees. But because we need the place, those trees was uprooted and your houses was built on it. And in the same manner, so with the rising population and these people need, especially our children, need some recreation wherein this would help them become a better citizens, and somehow, somewhere, all those young children here will become leaders of our country, and at the same time, they will occupy key places, a key position in different aspects, either in business, government. So it is just manner and this the health condition that they should develop within themselves is very crucial at the young age, and I foresee that this project would benefit our young children. Thank you so much.
Right on the mark. First person who nailed the 5 minutes. Well done. Beethoven hosts an incredible Christmas party with the Bayanihan Filipino Association at Allendale Rec Center every year. So if you're from the area, you should go. It's a pretty impressive time. I'm going to call upon Tracy Strom to come to the microphone. And I apologize, Tracy, just for a couple seconds. I've got to turn on a machine for myself, so I apologize. And if you want to wait till I'm done, that's okay, because there might be a few beeps here.
Would you like me to wait, or go ahead, sir? So, Mayor Nuttall, Barrie City Councillors, and the citizens of Barrie. My name's Tracy Strom, maiden name being Daniels. I've been a citizen for Barrie for most of my life, which is over 65 years. I spent most of my career as an educator. I still am educating. I've taught swimming and lifeguarding many years for the city and the Y, and most importantly was a founding member of Recreation Barrie, which is a citizen sports group that got together and funded the building and the planning and the design of the Allendale Rec Center. We needed one, we got together, we did it. I'm here today because I believe in sports, and I believe in sports fields, but not there. I have a little history lesson for you. I was also a member of the Recreation Advisory Committee that planned the walkway around the city, approved the Heritage Park Center, and most importantly, I have a concern. The Southshore Centre, Hayter Centre, was originally the mechanics building of the CN rail. The yard was big. There was a turnaround for engines. I used to watch it as a kid. And more importantly, there were lots of lines that they parked broken trains on, trains for fixing, trains for scrap,
right where the field's going to be built. When we acquired that field, through the wonderful negotiations of a man by the name of Al Burns, who negotiated with CN, because he was a past president, when we traded lands in order that the citizens could have access to the waterfront. Part of that was, how are we going to clean up the yard area? The yard area was filled with detritus, piles of industrial waste. Often those trains were just drained in place. Remember, this is pre-1980s. A lot of your citizens used to pour oil directly into the bay. That happened. We worked hard to approve get that through, and one of the things we worked really hard on is to work with CN to ensure that that land would be as safe as possible given its former use. Terry Patterson and myself were co-chairs of the committee. Al Burns, Sam Kinsella, and the city representative Sid Armitage spent many hours talking with CN people, Al doing most of the work. We had a vision of the city park around the bay with spokes connecting all the neighborhoods with parks. The spokes disappeared with the next council, but anyway. Al Burns was aware that CN did not really want the machine shop lands because they knew they could not build on those lands due to previous usage. And negotiated for the swap, and CN subsequently sold off the lands. We supervised sort of the removal of the materials, and then were assured that the land had been sealed, and the essence of it was then the vision was to remain a naturalized area for passive use of the city, and that it would remain safe as long as the coverage or the sealant remained there. Remember, this was the 1980s. We really didn't have environmental stewardship in mind a lot. We put riprap in, we filled the lake. By the way, folks, none of that is natural shoreline. It's all artificial. And hence, there was the development of the artificial island by the Rotary Club in order to encourage wildlife to come back. Now we're about to disturb the area, and I see it as reneging on a passive agreement that we had with CN, and let alone disturb the soil structures that may be harmful to our children. I'm especially concerned because I'm one of the Prince of Wales 12, one of the 12 teachers who had brain tumors. I'm the only one left alive, and that was because of something dumped in that area. The mayor assured me with a phone call this afternoon that if there was an environmental study done and anything was found, that the proposal would have to come back to council. I urge you to listen to the history. I still can't find my minutes, but that was a long time ago, and it was on old mimeograph paper, and I'm sure it's probably disintegrated. So,
ma'am, I need to cut you off there. I apologize. Thank you for the information, and thank you for your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
Nicole Nixon. Is Nicole Nixon here? Nicole Nixon? Last time for Nicole Nixon. Okay, and I'll do one more call for Victor Capabianco. Victor Capabianco. And a final call for Valeria Zavalna. Valeria Zavalna. Okay. That completes, I believe, unless I'm missing somebody. Oh. No, we got two more. Your Worship, I almost cut you off there, so I apologize. Former Mayor Aspen, the floor is yours. And then after that, we have, sorry, I didn't turn the page here, folks. Fern Telfer is right after that.
Good evening, Mayor Nuttall, members of council, and city staff. I believe it would be beneficial for the residents of Barrie if I provided a Coles version of the Sea Cadet Boathouse. Back in the late 40s, there was a boathouse located somewhere near Tiffin Street. Unfortunately, no photos could be found. The cadets were required to move then. Working with the town of Barrie, a location was found at the north end of the Barrie Marina. In 1959, 4 Navy veterans from WW2 formed a group of trustees and negotiated a lease with the town for the Royal Canadian Sea Cadets for 99 years. If you wonder why it was originally set up in the name of trustees and later the boathouse, here's why. Years ago, the Naval League of Canada actually owned a large section of Bosley Island that was a Sea Cadet camp. The directors of Interior Division of the Naval League of Canada one day decided to sell it off. It was a lost and real mistake. To prevent that from happening in Barrie, the land lease was in the name of 4 trustees and the boathouse later in the name of 4 trustees. No entity of the Naval League could dispose of the property as they had no control. I know this is the only location in Canada was designed that way, as I served on the Interior Executive of the League for 8 years as chairman of property for the property owned by the Interior Division. Here, the local branch of the Naval League have the responsibility of operating the facility, but the trustees were the landlord. The original Sea Cadet Boathouse was located just east of the city marina, where the Spirit Catcher is now, and the municipal parking lot. This area was all water. I remember the white wooden blank boathouse because I was a Sea Cadet in the 60s and 70s. In 1971, the cadet boathouse, between the cadet boathouse and the foot of Bayford Street, the city expropriated all the businesses, Delaney Boat Lines, Fort Marina, and the car wash. The city then again wanted the cadet boathouse and the property, and the trustees were approached by the city to move. The trustees agreed and moved to a vacant lot working out of a cargo trailer where you see it now. With no compensation, funding, or grants from the city, a deal was struck to build a new boathouse where it presently sits. The A&F made a significant contribution, and the A&F formed a group of 4 trustees. I know most of the Barrie lawyers at that time made contributions to support the kids. I returned to the branch in 1981 and served as president from 83 to 92, and was president when it was officially opened September 8, 1984. There was informal discussions in 1990 to relocate, but nothing materialized. North Shore Johnson's Beach wasn't adequate. Minette's Point wasn't adequate. Tollendale wasn't adequate. It narrows it down pretty much. In late 2010, I was leaving City Hall, as you all know. There was only one original trustee left, my friend Chris Spanis. Chris was a former building inspector, ex-Navy, and he was now 87, and he felt it was time to retire. Chris asked me to return as chair of the trustees and continuity of the agreements and change the governance of one group of 4 to one group of 4 instead of 2 groups with a total of 8 people. Being aware of several waterfront studies and plans and actually being part of them, I knew the city's need of the Sea Cadet lands. More importantly, the issue of the cadet safety is number 1. Not the trees and not the birds. Cadet safety is number 1. Discussions started with the city commissioner to negotiate a solution in 2012. In 2014, the 4 trustees signed with the city an agreement that took effect on May 5th, 2014. The city would relocate the cadets to a location on the waterfront and provide a new facility. Until such time, the Sea Cadets and the Naval League cadets would be able to return and use the boathouse. The trustees would sign over the right of the ownership of the boathouse to the city of Barrie without compensation, and the trustees will surrender and terminate the lease, giving the city of Barrie the right to the land. Again, I knew personally from my experience here that city needed the land and is very unsafe for cadets. It was 2 years to finalize, and many things were discussed, including for the facility that they could operate. The trustees did not specify every detail of the building as the new location was not known, the timing of the new location, or the budget. What was required were classrooms, storage, office space, storage of boats, an indoor parade square, a kitchen, washrooms, outdoor storage for gas cans, and the branch does have some floating docks that can be relocated. The trustees provided the branch the opportunity to provide the input when it came to the point in discussions with the city. The original lease of the land was what you would describe as ironclad. Different calculations were reviewed with former city solicitors a few years ago if the city attempted to expropriate the land, which is waterfront property, downtown commercial zoning. No options were in the city's favor, and the taxpayers would have been in shock. Cadet safety, again, I stress is number one. The facility is described and reviewed with the city, including a praise
Your
score.
Worship, I have to cut you off. We're in reverse roles. You used to do this to me.
How do I call that?
No, I don't think you did. So I apologize. I am going to ask you one question because you're from the Sea Cadet side. I'll call you the institution because you've been around for so long in that area and working with you.
They built the building around me. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Is the agreement that's being talked about, because there's two pieces, is it in line with what you think the trustees would have been in favor of, or are there concessions made, or
when the agreement was made, Chris Manis was still alive. We had several discussions about it, and he agreed it was in the best interest. As I say, he was the last surviving original trustee member.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. And as you're taking your seat, you shared a photo which I'll share for everybody. It's not really part of a presentation, but it shows you what used to be there with the Sea Cadets. Carl, are you able to? It's the first time I'd ever seen this was today. It was.
A lot of people would not have seen this years ago. I've been running Barrie almost 71 years now.
And that is what it used to look like down at the waterfront.
You see the white side just above the marina where the cars are parked. That used to be a city lot. Lakeshore Drive only went as far as Bayfield Street, and that's when they incorporated the ladies' boat line, the car wash, Ford, and I believe another location there was Bayview Marina. But right above the slips, that white boathouse, that is the south side of that plank building.
Well, thank you so much for that. What year was that, Your Worship?
I took a look real close at the gray coach buses sitting at the bus station, which was handy for cadet transportation. Those are GM coaches. They were made between 56 and 58.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that piece of history with us. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for your words tonight, sir.
I'd like to mention one
30-second
thing. For the residents that are for it or against it, council has a hard decision. Your council members have to make tough decisions. Some of them may not agree with your wants, but don't take it out on them. Sit here and then you'll see it's not easy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm now going to call upon Fern Telfer to come down to the microphone. This is our final deputant of the evening.
I know you saved the best for last, Mr. Mayor, but it's past my bedtime.
I actually think you were just the last emergency deputation request, so.
Your Worship, Mayor Nuttall, members of council, fellow veterans, ladies and gentlemen, and cadets. My name is Fern Telfer. I am a 22-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, which I have proudly served. During my career, I served with peacekeepers in the Middle East and in the Cold War in Europe. I am presently the president of the local peacekeeping association, Central Ontario chapter. I am a 21-year veteran of the Barrie Legion, of which I am now presently the first vice president, as well as a veteran services officer, the poppy chair, and the parade marshal. A few hats. I have a special place in my heart for cadets, and my career began at the age of 12 when I began my military career as an Army cadet. The cadet program taught me life skills, which included, but not limited to, team building, leadership, confidence, discipline, just to mention a few. I loved it so much that when I reached legal age, I joined the reserves in North Bay, an Army Reserve unit, which is, by the way, a sister unit to the Grey and Simcoe Foresters. I spent 6 years with the reserves, and then I joined the regular force as a military policeman. The cadets are the backbone of our military today. Many of them will go on to join the military in various trades. Some will become leaders, politicians, nurses, doctors, lawyers. You get the point. These young cadets are the citizens of tomorrow. These young cadets annually volunteer to assist with the Poppy campaign, which is crucial to our aging veterans. They bring in literally thousands of dollars during the campaign, and we are indebted to them. They also take part in our local parades, of which I gladly have them march with us as a parade marshal. In order for them to reach their potentials, they need a proper training area and the tools to make them do the best, to be the best that they can be. For everything they do for our community, at least we can do is thank them for their continued support, is to ensure that they have a proper learning environment, which includes a proper boathouse at a proper location that is safe and the proper tools to conduct the training. Presently, the cadets parade and train out of a boathouse that is much too small. This location has limited space to do any land training, and there's no insulation in the building, there's no running water. It creates an unsafe water for non-powered sailboats, especially with all the power boats that are moored on the docks next to the boathouse. And there's no running toilet. There's a couple porta potties. And so I heartily concur that the boathouse should be relocated to the Southshore area next to Military Heritage Park. What a perfect spot for the cadets to train in and commemorate our military. It is near the waterfront and has plenty of space for our cadets to do training on land. I urge the councillors before me today to vote in a positive way to make this happen. Show our cadets how much we appreciate them. I wasn't going to talk about the sports complex, but I'm with you on that one. I thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and I wish continued success to all our cadets, and thank you for allowing me to come and speak today.
Thank you, Fern, for your presentation. That concludes our deputations for this evening.
That was the update from the City Hall. Thank you for watching.